There she is, boys. No, not the Roush supercharged Mustang, the Victory Vision. Duh.
So since I started reviewing motorcycles, specifically Indians, I have been told in almost every video, Polaris should have never gotten rid of the Victory line. And so today we're going to be taking a look at a 2009 Victory Vision, and I'm going to try to put my blinders on and look past the aesthetics, actually ride this thing and tell you my straight up opinion, pros and cons, good and bad alike on this motorcycle. And all of this is big thanks to American Biker here in Latson, South Carolina, for letting me come out and give you my straight up opinion on this bike. So I'm gonna tell you everything that I know, pros and cons, we're gonna ride it, and at the end of the video, I'll tell you what I think about it. So this being a 2009, this was actually a big year for Victory. They had the 10-year anniversary edition. Now this one is not it. I think they only sold 100 of them, but this is like the premium touring model. So of course you have the Tour Pack, you have the heated grips. Both passenger and rider have a ton of amenities. Starting up at the front, you have an HID, you have the turn signals built into the fairing, you have your mirrors, which are built into the fairing, similar to a Street Glide. And then you have this big fairing that kind of just wraps around the entire bike, leading you to the 106. Now, this motor is air and oil cooled, pushing 109 foot-pounds of torque and 92 horsepower. Weight on this bad boy, it's like 850 pounds. So it's right there in the range where most of your Harley and now Indian touring bikes are. Of course, you have aluminum wheels in the front, dual disc up front as well, and originally these were rocking the Dunlop tires. Big old floorboards right here. You actually do have a heel shifter on this one, and you have somewhat of crash bars, but instead of them being like an actual bar, it's actually a secured piece of metal on the front and back here to protect your bag. So a little bit different design for sure, but of course this entire motorcycle is somewhat of a different design. You have a good amount of gauges here. Of course you have your tachometer, speedometer, fuel gauge, and then your battery voltage. And then coming to the center console, you actually have your heated grip button, high and low, hazards, high beam, and then it looks like a blank there where you could possibly put something else. You have storage on either side of the console, and you actually have your radio controls right there in the middle, and then you have your gas cap on the other side there. So you literally flip the key over to the left, and then that will pop open your gas cap, and it actually has a little holder there for your gas cap as well, which is kind of cool. You have, of course, adjustable windshield on this bike, which is cool, and then some other controls we'll talk about once we get out on the road. Dual pipes coming back, 6-speed transmission, 26.5-inch seat height. The dual pipes, by the way, on the end of them, the little baffles are like a honeycomb shape, and they kind of cut them at somewhat of like a 45-degree angle, so it's kind of different and weird, if you will. So passenger has some amenities as well. Not only do you have the fold-out armrest, but they actually have a push-to-talk button and the ability to turn up their music. You got 4 speakers on this bike. They have grab handles right here, and then of course you have built-in saddlebags. So with the body lines and everything, it almost looks like it doesn't have bags, but then of course you have your push button right here. You got a little strut over here, so it's gonna drop down slowly. And you're not gonna get as much as you would in an Electra Glide or a Road Glide or something like that, but you can get a decent amount of stuff in there. Where you're gonna find the most storage though is in the back on the Tour Pack. All right, so coming back to the rear, you actually have a luggage rack on top, and this guy wanted to make sure he could actually communicate with people from South Carolina to San Francisco if he wanted to, with all these antennas and stuff. And then he's got these Jetson antennas like they wore on their helmets, which is kind of cool. So this guy fully embraced being a Jetson motorcycle, right? Not only the stickers, but these little antennas right here as well. So kind of funny, but this is where you get most of your storage in here. So I was able to fit a full-size helmet on the inside, just one. I don't think you could fit 2, but you do have a generous amount of storage back here. And then of course you have lights on the Tour Pack. Everything's keyed so it can be locked. And then coming back from the saddlebags, you kind of have a V-shaped brake light here in the rear, and then your license plate holder right up under that. So I've already heard some people around here, specifically Rob, say, you might be impressed when you ride this thing, but I'll be the judge of that on my own. Okay, so I've told you about everything I can as far as the aesthetics and as far as the features on the bike. So now it's time to get on my helmet. Let's ride this thing and see what it's like.
All right, so we have the 2009 Victory Vision. This is the Jetson bike that the previous owner fully embraced, not only with stickers, but with the Jetson little helmet antennas as well. So we've already covered all of the specs, everything about it. I want to get on it, take it out on the highway for a little bit, and see how it does. So let's saddle up and check out the Victory Vision. So one thing instantly I like, it doesn't feel as light off the kickstand as your Indians do, but the ground, the seat height is really low. Now, one thing you have to do even in neutral is pull in the clutch on this. It's weird, right? So, first gear, of course the bars are independent of the fairing. We're gonna give it a shot here. All right. Oh. There we go. But I gotta pull that clutch more from the outside. Fourth gear. Oh. Speeding on this thing quickly, huh? All right, so I've heard a lot of good things actually about this bike. None of them involve the aesthetics. I'm gonna take that down a little bit. We need to get more air today. It's already 80 something degrees here in the south. So if you live somewhere where it's super cold, hopefully you can vicariously ride your motorcycle through me. Now I got the Insta behind me because these bars are so awkward that I couldn't get it to hold on there. So anyways, I'm gonna keep an eye on that thing. So the 106 air and oil cooled, 109 foot-pounds of torque, 92 horsepower, heated grips, heated and cooled seat at that. Got my high beam on, let me turn that off. I thought this was the high beam, is it not? No, I guess it's a different light up there. You also have these little wind deflectors up here. Kind of hard to reach, but you do have those if you want them. Getting a little bit of vibration up through my legs, a little more than what you would expect, but relatively smooth. I mean, whoever rode this bike put, you know, 83,000 miles on it. And dude, it's an 09, but still, that's a freaking rider right there, dude. So props there. Come to a stop. Boop. Oh, I'm in neutral. It's weird. Oh, you know what? So they got to fix the indicator for the gear position. Yeah, because when you pull off in second, it's actually, or you're in first, it's showing you're in second. So I have to let those guys know that. You're talking about a $5,000 motorcycle though. So here's the thing. Can we get past the aesthetics of the bike? You know, just straight up, dude, this thing is ugly. It doesn't sound particularly good. You know, it's an older bike too, so we can't be too harsh on it, but it still has some pretty cool features that even some newer bikes today don't have, like an adjustable windshield. It is the premium touring bike for Victory at the time, and so you get premium touring features. Heated and cooled seats, heated grips, windshield, you know what I mean? So on that aspect of it, I respect it. And so let's say you're somebody, as far as who this bike is for, obviously it's aimed at touring. But let's say you're somebody that you're like, man, you know, I don't have 30 grand to spend on a bike. You know, I don't even have 20 grand to spend on a bike, but I want to do touring with my friends. This could be a decent option for you. Again, if you can get past the aesthetics. So once we get on the highway, I'll be able to tell you give you a better idea of how smooth this thing is. But just riding 45-50 behind the slowest people here in Charleston today, it's relatively smooth, you know, for a bike with 83,000 miles. And it doesn't feel super heavy either. It feels like one you can kind of whip around, you know, and have a decent time on anyways. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop right here. Brakes work pretty well. Pretty sure this one has ABS. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I'm pretty sure it does. I don't want people to be envious, so I'm gonna take my stuff off of the bike. Just don't want people to envy because, yeah, I'm riding the Victory Vision. I mean, come on. Oh, there she is, boys. No, not the Roush supercharged Mustang, the Victory Vision. Duh. So I've been told of how impressed I'm gonna be with how this thing rides. And so far, I'm fairly impressed, but I can't wait to see what it does on the highway. So again, you know, it would be easy for me to come into this review, be a total hater, you know, that would be easy, right? I don't want to do that. I want to give it a fair shake, just like everything else. And still at the same time, I can admit how ugly this thing is. But you know, there's a whole market for ugly things, specifically vehicles. Man, if I was a single headshot, I'd be picking up all kinds of ladies on this thing. Here's your volume control for the passenger. Your heated and cooled controls are down here, and I'm pretty sure it's heated and cooled. So right there in the middle is where you got to keep those to turn them off. So weird how their clutches are so good now, kind of bad then. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the clutch on this bike. See, it shows it's in third gear right now. It's so weird. Now it shows it's in second gear. That clutch angle, it's at a weird angle, so it's kind of like my hand, where it would normally be something like this, it's like this. It's really strange. Self-canceling turn signals. You know, considering this thing is what, 13, 14 years old, you know, you get a little bit of that vibration, but it's really not too bad at all. Yeah, that clutch, oh man, it engages all the way out, and it's at a weird angle. Getting a good amount of heat on that right side of my leg, right by my calf. So you kind of have like highway bars, which I'm too short to use anyway, so it doesn't really help me. But you got plenty of room on the floorboards too, so it's not like it's a real problem. You know, the floorboards are big enough to where I can get multiple positions, you know, and still be relatively comfortable. Longer trips, you know. Now we get to take it on the interstate. One nice thing they did too is they actually put an HID in these, which are really expensive, and they're not as good as LEDs, don't get me wrong, but for the time period, that's pretty cool. Push to talk, volume buttons here, buttons here. This works the radio, which I can't use because of copyright. What else? Cruise control. I got to remember to honk the horn, see how that sounds. Speakers. mirrors, you know, everything's pretty user friendly. I haven't had to adjust the mirrors. You got a big mirror there too. Everything seems massive on this bike, and yet it's pretty controllable. You know, it's relatively comfortable. The handlebars turn really smoothly. You know, it's not like new Challenger smooth, okay, or even new Harley smooth, but for what it is, so far I'm pretty impressed with that. Again, here's the gas tank, and so we flip this all the way over, the key, and that will undo your gas lid right there. And then of course this one just kind of pushes up, and you got a little cord right there, and then he's got a cigarette lighter thing there. We got a power cord here for our intercom if we have one. I want to be very careful. This guy's got to turn pretty wide.
All right, so just got done with my test ride on the Victory Vision, and this is an interesting bike. So let me tell you what I like first of all. For a 2009 with 83,000 miles, it's pretty smooth. And so, like I said before, if you're looking to get into touring, but you don't have 20, 30,000 to spend, but you want to be able to ride with your buddies on longer trips, this could be a good option for you. It doesn't have to be a Harley. It doesn't have to be an Indian, you know, for you to be able to get out there and enjoy yourself if that's something that you want to do. And so this bike, the barrier to entry is a lot lower and a lot more economically feasible for a lot of people. So and that I respect it. You get a lot of storage too. I mean, you know, relatively speaking, it's enough for at least an overnight bag, put a helmet in there, you know, you got your saddlebags. And you also have a lot of amenities on this bike that you don't even get on some of the newer ones, like the adjustable windshield, heated and cooled seat, heated grips, cruise control. So, you know, it's not lacking when it comes to the features that you get. Obviously, you're gonna get 4 speakers. The passenger gets the ability to adjust their own speakers. That's a pretty cool thing. The seat is nice and comfy too, by the way. I don't even think there's a provision, no, there's not, to put a backrest in this standard seat, but you have enough of a rise here where it really allows you to kind of lean back and get comfortable. Also, the size of the bike works for you when it comes to touring. You got big floorboards, so even if you can't reach up here to where the highway pegs would be, you still got a lot of places that you can put your feet and kind of rest your legs a little bit and get into a different position on longer trips. Also, your passenger has full floorboards as well. So they got built-in protection here for the sides, HIDs, right? That come on bikes when most other companies were putting halogens still. These guys seen the benefit in not only being able to be seen, but to be able to see at night as well. So that's a good thing. Now, let's talk about the cons on the bike. First of all, I did notice that the exhaust and the way they have it wrapped right here, you get quite a bit of the heat off of that thing. Now that's not uncommon to get that on the right-hand side, but I was actually getting it on both sides, and on the right-hand side, it was significantly more than some other bikes. Also, I think it's pretty interesting that they have, I mean, it's an air-cooled bike, but they have a traditional looking V-twin here as opposed to the newer Indians and even the newer air-cooled Indians, air and oil-cooled. They have a way different aesthetic to them, and I know that's a complaint of some people. Also, I got quite a bit of vibration. Now again, this is a 14-year-old motorcycle with 80,000 miles, but I got a lot of vibration in through 3rd and 4th gear. Obviously, there's something going on with the gear shifter there that American Biker will fix before it's sold, obviously, but there's little quirks like that. Again, it's a used motorcycle, so you come to expect some of those things. Also, the aesthetics on the motorcycle, this is an ugly machine. So if you're somebody that really cares about aesthetics, and let's face it, a lot of us that are into motorcycles really care about the way our bikes look, you're gonna get a lot of looks on this bike, but it's gonna be a lot of looks that I've already seen just in me riding it for 30 minutes, like, what the hell is that thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna be, I would imagine most of the time, it's not gonna be like, damn, that bike looks good. So if you're looking to pick up girls on a motorcycle, you may wanna get a Harley or an Indian. But all in all, man, if you're looking for a budget-friendly touring machine that has a lot of amenities, again, this may be a good one for you. So maybe the best budget Jetson motorcycle on the road, who knows? Anyways, man, this thing is interesting, way different than most of what we see, and that's pretty cool in and of itself. Big thanks again to American Biker here in Latson, South Carolina. Come talk to Rob if you wanna maybe check out this bike or one of their new Indians or used Harleys. See you on the next one, and as always, hold them down.